habits. How do we kick the bad ones and pick up the good ones?
The most recent bad habit that I picked up was vaping. I was doing it without even knowing. It was crazy.
What do you remember about your first day of freedom after you were released from jail?
Got up out of bed in my own bedroom, folded my own blankets up and put them on the end of my bed and stood at the door waiting for someone to open it.
What's a habit?
A behaviour that we've repeated so often, it's become automatic.
I was breaking old habits of not going to the fridge and drinking wine and eating cheese.
Prison and the life of it is so repetitive, and it's not only in the things that you do, it's the things that you say and the conversations that you have. It's defined who I am as a person, the strengths and the weaknesses. There's no control at all of your life. You do what you're told, and it's very regimented.
My everyday existence that was leading to me losing all this weight without me consciously realising overall that that's what I was doing.
Sally, you subconsciously developed some habits which didn't benefit you. What were they?
I became a workaholic, essentially, and that's a culmination of habitual behaviour, as I'm sure everyone would agree. So essentially it is framed around waking up thinking about work first and foremost. Everything in my world revolved around work to the point it burnt me out, not once but 3 times. And burnout is definitely a significant culmination of toxic habits. And those habits would go from anything like waking up at 5 in the morning. First thing I would do is pick up the phone, check emails, check messages, and before I'd even put my feet on the floor, I was in work mode. I became so based around habits. My day in the office didn't start until I'd had at least 2 coffees. Then I would go into the office and then it would literally be going through my to-do list and just working around the clock essentially. I'd leave work and then the next habit of arriving home would be a glass of wine because, wow, I've made it through the day. That became a habit which led to more alcohol being consumed to numb my stress, numb my burnout, and then falling back into working again well into the evening.
What do you think it would have been like to be around you as colleagues or friends or a partner at that time?
Awful. I can laugh now, but yeah, and I do recall someone very close to me coming up to me and saying, I think it's time you took a break. And I highly likely would have snapped and said, I'm fine. But yes, it did impact on other people.
Where do you think you learnt those habits, that sort of working so hard?
I believe it comes from conditioning. It is definitely something that you see growing up. It's very much those habits around constantly hearing, oh, you know, you must work hard to get ahead, and that's the way, you know, that is success, is working hard.
Sally, you experienced burnout a number of times as a result of your workaholic habits. What advice would you give to others who are looking to do the same thing, to avoid that path?
I think really reassess if you're defining your worth through your productivity. Not dissimilar to the drinking culture in Australia, I think there is also very much a culture around work, and your worth is determined by your work and your productivity. So, and it's not saying that you become lazy all of a sudden, but it's very much creating a set of boundaries and keeping very firm to them, identifying what your true capacity is and owning what is right for you. So it's essentially almost an audit of your habits that I've found.
Gina, what are your hacks